What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, aka ToeTagginTambo, back for another edition of our PGA show here on the SHIPIT Nation YouTube station. Make sure you're subscribed to get all our shows for free. Got my guy Hoopster here with me. As always, going to break down the second major of the season, the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow. And Hoopster, the second major, the second anniversary of SHIPIT Nation. We got a big anniversary coming up here in 2 days. What's going on, man?
Yeah, I got some big news here to announce on the show, probably right out of the gate here. So it's pretty exciting stuff, and something that I think that the public is gonna like. So gonna announce that here in a minute. Big major. I mean, nothing beats major golf. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal. Last week, somewhat interesting. I mean, I actually had a pretty good sweat over on FanDuel for the 50K. Ended up finishing third, I believe, maybe it was fourth. Needed Lowry over Sepp, and Sepp just stuck it right to him at the end. I got to give him credit. Lowry missing a couple short putts, but we'll get him back this week. Looking forward to it. Big field, obviously, all the best golfers in the world, and the prize pools are massive around the industry. So excited to talk through it all with you.
Yeah, a couple milli makers this week, some good prizes both sites. We got our splash segment we'll do later. They opened it up, doubled our guarantee, put $100 up. We'll go to that at the end, but yeah, it was a Honda Open 2.0. Speaking of the twos, and they're all flying around, but that was the, and Sepp got the good weather over Shane down the stretch, and Keith Mitchell, former Honda Open winner, was there to congratulate him. He was in the mix. It was like a Honda Open, actually, because Sungjae was up there.
Sungjae, your boy play ball. I always think about you. Whenever I see Sungjae, moving up the leaderboard, I always think about my boy Tambo.
Don't think this will be the last time we talk about him either. He's got some good history here at this course as well. Right now, of top five, people forget about, because Rory's winning the career Grand Slam, but Sungjae was flying up that board too at Augusta National. So you said it, but speaking of two, we'll go to it right away. We're turning two. So the SHIPIT Nation birthday celebration, we talked about this last year. We got two candles up there now coming up in 2 days on May 15th. Since we launched, I want to say thank you to everybody out there. Appreciate all the support as we continue to grow. We've stuck to our word, I think, Hoop, continue to improve and add on. The SaberSim partnership was absolutely massive. So if you want to use code SHIPIT2. I got two things for you. I'm going to break this one down first. If you use the code you see on the screen, SHIPIT2, you go to the site, go to Join the Nation. It's the $99 plan with SaberSim, all access. You can get your first month for just $24. So you can check out everything we've got. This major, there's another signature event coming up. All the other sports, MMA, NASCAR, the NBA playoffs are rocking. Baseball's crushing it all over the place. We still got NHL playoffs, just a ton of different stuff going on with all those sports. This is $24 to try out your first month. But when I was away, Hoop, I was away for, sadly, it was a funeral, but we don't need to get into all that. But to say I was away with some family, a ton of travel, listening to some podcasts on the way, and I got this idea, and I came up with this, and I don't care. I'm trying it anyway. So I said, I'm always going to take these marketing thoughts and throw them out there. If you are a member to another site, any content site where you pay $49 or more per month, that's the caveat here. If you send info@shipitnation.com a screenshot of your account at any other site where you pay $49 or more a month, we'll knock that down and make it free for you to try out your first month at shipitnation.com. All access, get you in there with SaberSim, all of that. So it's pretty straightforward. Where I got it from, Hoop, there was a gym in the mountains. He said another guy had a gym, but they didn't want to open up on Sundays. He said, so I told all his members, if they want to come over and check out my gym on Sundays, just show your ID and I'll let you in for free. And I said, you know what? Let's try it. Let's do something fun. If you're a member at another site and you're already saying, oh, I want to see what the other site's all about, but I paid for this one already, well, come check us out. Just send proof to info@shipitnation.com and we'll get you in for free. We'll alleviate the extra $24 and pop it in. But we've got everything. And yes, to answer the question, golf subscription, even our PGA only, which is a single sport, has a ton of showdown content. I think it's the best in the business. You'll say I'm biased, but the leaderboards don't lie. You get the stone, you get the slate plan, the projections, and the ownership. And we don't just carry over the projections from the main slate. If there's weather, wave advantages, all those things, home of the sweaty tryhard. Shout out to our guy, DJN75. We're in there editing for that. So anything you want to add there, Hoopster?
Yeah, I love the idea, love the concept. We talked about it and wanted to roll it out. Some that I've thought about in the past. I mean, we're obviously very confident in the product that we're offering. We've been saying it all along, the most affordable, all-encompassing DFS product in the industry. Sometimes it's hard for people to hit cancel on what they already have or what they're used to. Well, this gives you an opportunity to let us prove it to you. Let us prove to you that we are the spot, we are the home for you. And it's not just PGA, it's for you get access to all our sports as well. So you can pick up MLB content, UFC content, whatever sports are going on. So it's an opportunity for us to prove it to you, like you talked about in that example with the gym owner. He was open on Sundays for business. We're open 7 days a week, covering all the sports, and we want to give you guys an opportunity to check it out for really cheap at $24 a month, or potentially free if you're subscribed somewhere else.
Yeah, just a note quick to Young there in the chat. Do not sign up for PJ only right now. Just sign up for the $99 for $24. You're going to get all the sports for less than what you would pay for PJ only. So make sure you use code SHIPIT2. All right. And yes, we got tons of stuff going on. Andrew says just upgraded to the ultimate plan. We got a lot going on with that. There's a ton of different things. Shout out to our guy, Lee Aldrich. Already got the course fit rankings, which is nice. And then on top of that, he's got his value report, which is free for everybody to go and check out. So Hoopster, it is a major. They got the right pricing, I think. And we'll get to what that means in a second, the right. But with Scotty being so much more expensive, the only argument is people saying, well, Rory and his history and winning the career Grand Slam, he should be up there. But either way, at least they gave us separation. Even from Rory to Bryson is $700. We're going to talk a ton about the strategy and the roster construction, but there's a 5K range here too that features a bunch of names. So they did bring the 5K range back. Everyone made fun of Michael Block being more than Phil Mickelson, amongst others, Garrick Higo, guys like that. But in general, the 5K range does have some names that I think people will be very comfortable playing. Like Mac Hughes lost in a playoff last week. I get it, strength of field, but he's 5,600. It's baked into the price. EVR, Taylor Moore, Gary Woodland, Sam Stevens, Kevin Yu, Olesen, all these guys that who was also in that playoff was you with Fox, I believe. And I can't remember who all made it to the playoff, but Ryan Fox won. But just a note, there is a good 5K range here, I think. So what's your thoughts on how this is breaking down? It looks like Rory and Bryson will be the most popular.
Yeah, I like what they did. I mean, the one thing I agree with you. Like, I think Rory should probably be closer to Scotty, but what that does, I think for sure, is we're going to finally see a week where there's a pretty big gap in ownership between the two. Like, I think a lot of people are just going to save the money, the $1,200. And if they're deciding between one of the two, they're going to go to Rory over Scotty, which I think brings Scotty's ownership potentially, maybe the lowest that we've seen in a major. Like, a lot of times he's super high on. Like, I think he's going to get not low owned, but it's going to be relatively low ownership to what we're used to seeing him at. So that's how you could potentially take advantage of that situation. We have the 5K, a lot of playable guys down there. But the main difference for me, and we've talked about this a ton, and I know you agree with me on this one, it's not necessarily that we have a 5K range, it's what it does to all the other ranges. And this is to me the biggest difference in when they have the 5K range. Guys that we typically see in the sevens, legitimate golfers in the 7K range, are now in the 6K range, and you'll see it when we talk through it. I mean, to me, that's the biggest difference when they have the 5K range, where guys that would be 7K are now 6K. And you play a couple 6K guys, not even talking about the 5K range, you play a couple 6K guys in a normal week, you can make a lot work with roster construction. So for me, the biggest difference with the 5K range is those guys that are typically 7K are now in the 6K range.
Yeah, and you said it. Like, look at Keith Mitchell as an example. We'll get there later. $6,200. Yeah. Even if you skip the team event, 7th last week, skip the team event, 2nd, 12th, 18th. This guy would definitely be in the 7s. Now he's just above 6K at 6,200. So things like that you're going to see. Some of the bigger names that you mentioned from, that we usually see in the 7s are like Hogard, Steven Yeager, Norin, Novak, Hoey, JT Poston, Jake Knapp, all these guys that you're talking about, the Kitiyamas that people still play. Nick Taylor is 6K flat. Michael Kim is 5,900. There's just all kinds of options there that it creates that sort of spot that you talked about. Aaron Rye, Harris English, Denny are 67 and 68. Taylor Pendrith, 6,700. So yeah, there's just a ton of options that people are going to be able to get to. Do you think a lot of people want to start Rory Bryson and just think back to the last two, like the U.S. Open of last year, I guess, from the Rory Bryson down the stretch, and then you've got Rory Bryson were paired together before Bryson had a bit of a rough Sunday there at Augusta National when Rory went on to win the career Grand Slam. Do you think a lot of people just want to start with the two guys up top? Because there is 4, 5, 6, 7 guys, 10, 2 and above, right? JT, if you put 9,900 right there, so it's JT and up. He fits in there $100 less.
Yeah, I think it's going to be people are going to want to do it. They're going to be able to do it. I just plugged in like Rory and Bryson and then just a random 5K, and you're right back to $7,000 per spot. And Keith Mitchell's going to be a popular name. Let's just say you do that sort of build and you plug in Keith Mitchell. Now you're back kind of almost into the mid sevens, like 7,300 for your last two. So you're going to be able to do a ton when you're going through. I personally think like a common build is going to be probably like Rory, JT. People are really going to like JT. Been playing well this season, very well this season, and it's saving quite a bit going from Bryson down to him. You're saving 1,600, and you plug in those two, you're at 7,000 for 4 spots. Let's say again, you can plug in anyone. I'm just going to click a random 50, clicking Grazerman. Then you're back to 7,500 for 3 spots. Like you have legitimate guys in the 7K range, and you could obviously get another spend in there if you play another cheap guy. So I think, of all the guys up top, the most popular, if you're going 2 studs, probably going to be Rory and JT. And JT has a good course history here as well. So you're 2 guys that are having really good seasons, and they're at a course where they've had success in the past.
Are you, is that the dry run there? I see 150 and sort of by projected score. What are we getting right now for Rory and Bryson? Like, what are we getting for exposures?
Yep, and it's those 2 at the top. Rory, we have in 80% of our teams, and Bryson at 58. And another name that we mentioned, Keith Mitchell. And that's going to be, he's going to, exactly. He's going to be very.
Yeah, for sure. But even in this, like, it's crazy. That's the exposure we're getting on him is almost that high. I mentioned Mackenzie Hughes earlier. I figured he would be popular from that region down below, the JT stuff. So it is allowing you to fit Mitchell in quite easily as a 4th guy in. One of the cool things, just when you click easily on Sabre, you're good at this, but just if you click the Rory lineups, how much Bryson are we getting with Rory when you go that way?
Half our teams are still getting Bryson in there. And like, just to look at these teams, so this 48%. Stars and Scrubs probably pretty popular this week, and because you're looking at it and you see these teams look solid. You got Rory, Jon Rahm, and Justin Thomas in this first team, highest projected team we have. Keith Mitchell, Sam Stevens, Mackenzie Hughes. So 3 quote unquote punts, but these are guys with like legitimate upside to contend. The next team, Rory, Jon Rahm, Tommy Fleetwood. It's 3 punts, but to me, at least 2 of them are legit. I don't know much about Puig. 3 spends, Novak, Mitchell, Griffin. Those are 3 legitimate golfers, I'd say.
So this is a product of what you talked about, right? This is specifically a product of what you talked about, saying that because it's not necessarily because there's a 5K range.
100%.
What is that due to everywhere else? Now, I think there is another factor here. Do my trick and pull exposure over to the salary. And
I almost did that before the show because I know that's your preference, and I never do it.
The reason I like it is something like this exercise I'm about to do. I think it's important to look at because your point is dead on what you said. But to me, it's showing more in the 6K range than it is in the 7s. So when you sort it by salary now, and you'll still see the exposures right beside it and go down to the 7s, the tricky part of the 7s is it's like Tom Kim, Ryan Fox, Dustin Johnson, Max Homa. It's not necessarily guys that people love. So it's like a double whammy, right? Because people are already probably fine missing out on some of these names. Like there's names for sure, but it's not like people are in love with them. And then on top of it, you don't really need them for the builds we see. Like all those builds, the 6K guys are 7K guys or formerly the 7K range. So what do you think about a balanced build? And shout out to Courtney, said it's been a minute. Always good to see you back here, Courtney. We appreciate you. Looking dapper in that suit over there. Says, do you think balanced build lineup will be the best way to go?
I think it won't be popular, right? No one's going to do it. And I still think it's like the worst possible build you can do this week. I just do. And I know it's not going to be popular. No one's going to do it, but the win equity up top and how simple and easy it is to get the win equity in is just, I don't even know what would a balanced team look like. You start with like Cantlay and, Tommy Fleetwood and then like Jason, like I don't want it. I think it's not going to be popular. And I think it's drawing dead, to be honest with you.
To be honest, though, I think what's interesting is like the balanced build here almost goes to what I just said, where it involves 7K guys. If you had like a couple 9K guys or like a 10K and a 9K and could somehow mix in a couple 8Ks, I'd be okay with that. If you're getting Corey Connors and Sung Jae with JT and somebody else up top, I think that's probably okay. That'll be different. It's the 7K range where most people usually land in that seems to be causing the issues. Shout out to Landon, by the way. People Landon, you get that one? So
yeah.
The thing is, I don't see a lot of lineups that are ending in that 7K range that look great on paper, nor do I see many of them that look good in any other way. So I don't think this is right. No.
It's definitely wrong because what we've talked about a couple of times here, guys that are what the 5K does, it takes 7K guys and puts them in the 6K range. So like it's going to be the 6K range, I think, in the upper fives that get loaded up on. It's right. It's going to be the
7K. So guys are loading up on 7K guys. They just happen to have 6K price tags.
Correct. And that's the important part. Their price tag is not indicative of what it truly should be because it's getting everything stretched out. So like the 7Ks are typically very popular, right? On a given week without the 5K range, that's a range a lot of people go is in the sevens. They want to end their builds in the sevens. Those guys are now 6K, right? So, and those guys are in some cases upper 5K. That's where people are just going to go.
The actual 7K range will be pretty spread out. I could see like Keegan Bradley, who plays pretty well. He's got it. He's been okay lately, 7,200. I could see there's going to be a couple guys that get a little bit of love, but and by the way, Kenny just wants us to let everyone know here, he's mixing in a baseball joke mixed in with a golf show. Congrats on your fantasy baseball world championship seat. We are extremely happy for you. And and some other good news you have on the side. We really appreciate you. But
he also has a cannon from, was it right field or left field where he threw that guy? It was probably one of the most impressive throws from the outfield. He threw some dude out at, I believe, I don't have the facts on this, but it's like third or home plate, and it was an absolute cannon missile. Probably one of the best throws from the outfield. It's a really good arm from the outfield as well.
It's a golf show, but I will say one of the best highlights, that's most underrated highlights in all of sports, is a outfielder throwing somebody out at home with
so
like the
perfect
throw that you need. That is a highlight that I can just watch over and over. I think that's
so good.
Impressive. Oliver, the Oracle says Tom Kim finished T54 in the alternate event last week. Hate to see the mighty TGL powerhouse. What'd they say? Call him again? Tom Sim? Head back to the TGL, pal. That's where it's at for you. So, and yeah, Jason says the 6K range is better than the 7K range, and that's what the dry run shows. Now, second exercise hoop using Saber Sim. If you just turn projected score to Saber score now, what type of builds does it flip us to, or how do those exposures look when you do that? Keep your same.
Sorry, I got distracted for a second. So it was a throw from right field to third at Coors Field, and they got Trevor Story out at third. If you get a chance, check it out. I mean, just absolute cannon from the wall, bounced. Let's see, bounced off the wall. The ball's bouncing in front of him, picks it up, and I believe it was. Let's see. One hopper got him right at the base. And
I'm a big right field home guy.
Yeah, those are good.
They put in the right field and then just the crow hop and fling and just take it all the way to the plate and slam them out. Like that's the best. I can watch those highlights over and over. Yeah, swap it to Saber score now.
Saber score. We're going to switch it up here. Saber score. We'll do the bigger. We'll do 10 to
what's the $5 this week? I know it's bigger because
then it's got to be over 50K. So we'll go 50K. And see what sort of things we get.
And for those
a lot of times you see the popular, a lot of times you see the popular guys come down a little bit, and that's not what happened here. Just because not what happened here.
No, it still likes
Rory and Bryson.
It's still like so. If you look now, Spawn, Mitchell, Griffin, Woodland, and Saber score is really liking putting even more of these stars in scrub line. Look, 3 guys in the 5K.
Yep, the first. Let's see how many teams. So the best Saber scores here got 3 5K, 3 5K, 3 5K, essentially 3 5K, mixed in a 7-2, and then 2 5s.
You see that Roy Fleetwood lineup there that you said with Benny? That's a unique version of like using the actual 7K range, right? Because you're getting 2 5K guys that you could be more than fine with, and you're loaded up top with Rory. Oh, Tommy Fleetwood never wins. Correct. He's the third guy in after guys that win a lot.
Yeah, just give me 7th place and I'll be happy there.
I'll get you 5th, though. He's very good at that. So it's like if you look, actually, I'm curious now that I said that. Coming in, 4th and a 7th, and here 13th, 5th, and 14th in his last 3. So, being that they played at this course a bunch and they have good history here and things like that, like it's definitely a certain style of player that you've seen play well here, and it's pretty easy to fit that mold. It is going to come down a lot to this roster construction and then how it plays out. So it's interesting to note that when you go by Sabre score, I was just going to explain it quickly for those who don't know it. There is an actual formula that's built into it that they use to be able to get you lineups that are built for the style of tournament you're in. And I think that's something that goes so overlooked from a DFS strategy perspective that no other shows really spend a lot of time talking about. And that is lineup selection. A lot of shows, including our own and our staff and people and ourselves, will talk about contest selection being important, but lineup selection is just as important. Like it's you're picking the lineup for the tournament that you're in, or in this case, portfolio wise, lineups. And that's what SaberSim is putting you in that position. It's finding you lineups that make sense for the tournament you're actually playing.
I think a lot of people like to find like a single entry team and just put it in all the single entry stuff, but there's a big difference. If you're playing in the high stakes stuff, like, Kenny's playing in where there's only 20 guys in it, the Thunderdome, there's 20 guys in there potentially. That sort of team is not probably the same sort of team that you want to play in a single entry with 10,000 people, and Sabre assists you with that for sure, especially when you get into the contest sim stuff. Like they will specifically pick out the best teams for each contest that you are in. So definitely something important to note there.
You said that really well, because that's a great point that you just made. Like there's an awesome $12 single entry every week. It gets better for majors. People say my contest selection guy said stick to single entries. Don't disagree. I think that's great advice. It's an awesome payout structure, but the $12 single entry with thousands of players in it is much different than playing a $9 qualifier with 57 guys in it. And then there's, you can only put one entry in it or something. Think about different things when you're looking at that. That's a major component. Carl came back around and said, well, avoiding the 7 and 8K, how popular will that be? It looks like from projected lineups, and when we even switch to Sabre score, it's not loving the 7s and the 8Ks. And that's the other thing too, Hoop. The 8K range, while it is pushing some of those guys down that we'd normally see above, it's also like Wyndham Clark, Cam Smith, Minwoo Lee, Patrick Reed. There's some guys in there, don't get me wrong, but it's not necessarily what I think people are lining up to play. So I do think people are really going to gravitate towards this Stars and Scrubs build, and I don't necessarily think that's wrong. I think it looks pretty good. It's just getting the right version of it and ways to get different. We didn't even talk about Xander, Morikawa, Rahm yet. We didn't talk about Cantlay really yet. He looked good last week. Lowry looked good last week. Hatton, Fleetwood, some of those guys. Jordan Spieth, by the way, talking about motivation. I said this earlier in the season. It would be, I don't know if it would be funny. It would just be like the way the world works sometimes, especially in the world of sports. All that time for Rory, he finally gets the monkey off his back, ships it. Good for him. It'll never take anything away from that moment, but it would be funny if now all of a sudden Spieth breaks out, gets a win, and gets his career Grand Slam right after Rory just did.
Be absolutely hilarious. That would be a great storyline for sure. But back to that point, like you could even, like, these guys up top are getting ownership, but like there's a lot, even when you start to get into the 9Ks, a lot of guys that are just going to be totally forgotten. And you can see it here from our builds, like Hovland, Koepka, I think Matsuyama,
like Spieth, Lowry,
Henley.
It doesn't want
just no way. Yeah, it does not want any of them. People are not going to want to click, especially when you get in the 8Ks. Like, who in the right mind is going to click Wyndham Clark for 8,500 this week, right? Cam Smith, like these guys are just not going to be played, and there's just no doubt about it. Will Zalatoris, 8,700. Like, I'm not saying I'm playing these guys, don't get me wrong, but it just goes to show you, like, the appeal on the names drops off so quickly, and you're going to see that in roster construction. Almost every team is going to start with, at the bare minimum, JT. Like that's like the last name here that people will start lineups with. Like if you're starting anything below this, you are going to be in a world of your own, and I think it's going to be a world of hurt, because I just don't see a reason to start lower than this. Like people always make the case for mid-tier builds, but this is just not the mid-tier that we typically see, even in majors. Like the win equity is just getting pushed so high up with these guys: Scotty, Rory, Bryson, Xander, Morikawa, Rahm, JT. You can throw Ludwig in there if you want. It's just it drops off quick, and you're seeing it. Every sort of sorting that we chose projected score, we chose Sabre score. If we ran a contest simulation, like I obviously can do that here. If I were to do that, you would see these sort of builds, I believe, in that sort of format as well. Maybe I will do that just to see and mix it up a little bit. I know we haven't done it on a show, but I'll run a simulation If you have something else you want to touch on, we'll see where it's at.
You sim it out. I'll just say that's the other one. So we did this a couple weeks ago, and it is very similar. Just to note, if you play Rory and Bryson together, which we saw how easy that is, how obvious it was that you could just get to Rory and Bryson as a prime example. Based on their odds, and especially with the way Bryson's odds have trended, I think he started 18 to 20 in some places and is now down to 10 to 13 to 1. If you take the win equity of Rory and Bryson combined, even if you were allowed and could afford to play Ludwig down to Victor, those next 6 guys, you can't make up the win equity in your lineup for the other 2. Okay. So people don't get that. I mean, that's obviously just explaining it from the odds perspective. It's just saying you easily can fit Rory and Bryson together. We've showed you that with 4 other golfers, and you just got to play roulette a little bit with that and get your combo right and pick a good pool and have it all go together and work in your favor. Then takes a little luck down the stretch. But just to note it, even if you were allowed to play and could afford the next 6 best golfers after them and just put them into a lineup, no salary cap, let's say you could do it, you wouldn't make up the win equity that they have to win this tournament. So it's all what you think is going to happen. But yeah, Bryson is down. Like Scooter's always in our Discord. Shout out to Scooter posting odds and bets in the PGA Bets channel and says Bryson is bet down to single digits almost everywhere now. So people definitely want to get their Bryson on this week. So
yeah, so based on just running the simulations for the $25 Millie Maker, the one thing you do see is more of a shift to Scotty, and that's just going to be like an ownership play like we talked about. We know it's going to be on Rory. Rory and Bryson, we're still getting a lot of them, 40 each, but you start to see some of these other top-end guys get mixed in a little bit more. Scotty at 20%, Rahm 20%, Morikawa to 15. Teams, I'd say, still look pretty similar. I mean, it's mixing some different stuff.
I'll cut you off for 2 seconds. Just that team you're on, because I like it. I want to say something. Is Rory fine? Keith Mitchell Hughes fine? It's when you go to Decky, Fleetwood, Bobby Mack with no 10Ks, no 8Ks, no, you know what I mean? You're not.
So you can still do these teams, which to me, this is still stars and scrubs. You're playing 3 guys above 9K, but it's mixing in a low-owned guy in Hideki. You come here, it's Scotty instead of Rory. 1 mid-tier. So yeah, these teams actually do look a little bit different when you do the contest simulation. So that's definitely one thing to note. I mean, if you're someone out there that doesn't have the contest sim, I'm not saying these are the teams that are going to win this week, don't get me wrong, but it gives you a different look, and it gives you the way to play some of these higher end guys differently, because look at this team.
For 1 second too. Look at that team. Yeah, you saw
30% total ownership. And look at the names. These are legit, like 30% total ownership, and these are legitimate guys. Xander, Cantlay, Minwoo, Patrick Reed, Novak, Jaeger. 30% owned team. Insane.
No 7K range, no Rory or Bryson or Scotty. Like, see what I mean? You can still get away with these teams. And there's where a team where like 3 7K guys actually becomes unique, right?
So, yeah, these teams are looking way different, which is very interesting. I mean, I'm not, saying everyone needs contest sims. Like, I get that. It's a little steeper of a price tag, but man, like there is a potential advantage this week using them, because these teams do. I thought it was going to still look pretty similar. A lot of these teams look a lot different than what we were just working with projected score or Sabre score.
Yeah, I'll jump on that for a second because I want to say a key point. Like you said, everyone thinks it's an easy button. That's not it. It's more what the tool can do for you. And I think the exposure shows everything you need to know there, Hoop. Like when you look at how the exposure was on that, sorry, I think you just went away from it, right?
Yeah, I switched back to the Sabre score. Where do you want it? On the contest sims?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk to this for 2 seconds. I don't think people follow this enough to here's the deal. This is a prime example too. We've talked about a ton in the past too, but one thing when we started SHIPIT Nation and we're coming up on the 2-year anniversary again, thanks to everybody for all the support and helping grow this thing. It's really what we talked about. It's like, even if you knew the exact exposures that somebody else was on, you can screen share us right now, or so you can screenshot us right now and say, okay, 41.3% Bryson, et cetera, and go down the board. It's not the percentage you're playing of them. It's how they're playing. Again, not who you play. It's how you play them. Reads true here as well. It's the combinations of how it's actually putting these lineups together to still be very good lineups, project well, but then give you better certain product ownership or certain roster constructions that aren't popping up. So you're still using the quote unquote good plays, but it's using them in a way you may not get to, where you may just put all those guys together. And it's not necessarily the truth that it's just going to be all of those lineups together, right? It's not always going to be Bryson and Roy. They're only in 40% of lineups total, let alone how many they're in on their as a combo. So it's things like that you have to keep in mind when you're actually building it out. I think a lot of people would just go put Bryson, Rory, Hughes, Mitchell because they see their high exposure. Even though they're our highest exposed, the contest sims aren't just putting all 4 of those guys together. It's just you're getting heavy exposure to them because they are the good plays based on our projections, the ownership, and all those other factors. Anything else you want to add on that, Hoop, before we move on?
No, yeah, it's an interesting talking point. I think, you and I are very passionate about this, so we could probably talk about it for another hour. But, the main point for me, for sure, is the difference. And you will see differences sometimes, but quite a bit of a difference here this week in what, the Sabre score, projected score is versus the contest sims.
Yeah, last point I'll say, just because it's another big one, talking point from a strategy perspective, just so people know, it's the same thing I've said forever. Like a lot of I think for beginners, novice, players just starting off, I think it is good to take a stand and say, okay, if Rory's going to be 40 or 35, I'm going to try and get 70. But there is no exact that you have to do. Like, yeah, that's a great stand to take. If you love Rory, by all means, go ahead. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying the contest sims reflect that you can take pretty much the field on Rory, but have all good Rory lineups, right, against the field. You know what the ROI, you set up your field that you're playing against based on the numbers. It knows sort of what that would look like. So I think that's just another key piece to remember.
Yeah, it gives you different you'd never think about in multiple sports too. Like I talked about, I won, a couple weeks ago, the 50,000 in baseball. It was a team that I would never ever build. Like if I was going to build a baseball team, it would have been like the 10,000th team that I was going to build. It was stacking against like the 2 top pitchers on the slate, and it worked out. I would have never thought to build that team on my own. It just shows you the overall power of this tool in multiple sports.
Yeah, and it does take portfolio management into consideration. I think I asked you that the morning after. I said, holy shit, you shipped it like classic Hoop, go to sleep, wake up, there's money in the account. But it was like you said, I didn't even have a lot of those teams. It just because it takes your whole portfolio and says, all right, you've got this, let's give you some of this just to make sure you're covered a little bit. It happened to be the one that came through, and that's part of it. But you're building with the right tool, you're building for the right reasons, and then it puts you in the position to be able to get lucky and have that come through for you. So you got to love to see it.
Certainly. Yeah, absolutely.
Anything you want to talk about next? If not, we can go to sort of just talking through the ranges a little bit, maybe some of the other guys that stood out there. I mean, like you said, Ludwig, the L in Ludwig last week stood for lost. The guy was completely lost. I think he finished 60th in the Truist, and it's a signature event. He won a signature event earlier this season. We talked about his sort of mentality and mindset and how he kind of just rolls through. It doesn't affect him. He just didn't really play well at all. So is there some bounce back there? It's been a couple bad events now in a row. He definitely stands out like a sore thumb as overpriced here. I think people would click Xander, Kawa, Rahm, JT all before him. And then we know they're going to Bryson above. What do you do with Ludwig?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I haven't built any teams, but it's not just like last week. I mean, 60th there, 54th at the RBC Heritage. I mean, popped up out of nowhere really for the 7th at the Masters, and then he was 2 cuts prior to that, Valero and the Players. So the one thing that stands out is him playing well at the Masters. Outside of that, nothing good recently. Really bad last week, like you said. Is he able to turn it on for majors? This is the big question. Do you think he can just turn it on for these big events? Is he a big game hunter? That's what you'd kind of be playing on, because he has a lot of guys around him he has to beat this week in order to be the dude at 10.8K. So right now it's showing 4%. Like if you're playing the big milli maker or $5, is there a $5 milli?
$5 up top, yeah.
Yeah, so if you're playing something like that, man, like maybe mix it in and hope that he does get up for the big events. But he'll be very low owned. We talked
back to the contest sims for a second. I'm just curious how much, if it gave us, I know it gave us more Scotty from the ownership perspective. Did it give us much Ludwig? Still,
we got right with the field, just 4. Yeah, it's a tough click this week for sure. I mean, when you look at these other names, Bryson and Rory going to be popular. Scotty, it's a tough one. I will say I do think there is an opportunity with Scotty this week. I talked about it kind of in the opening. I know a lot of people, if choosing between Scotty and Rory, they're going to choose Rory. Even if people think like they're the same right now in terms of the upside, you're saving $1,200. So I like, initially I haven't built teams again, but making a play on Scotty for sure this week, because Right, they're showing 19 on Scotty, 19%. Scotty at a major with a 5K range. Like, man, like I gotta get over on Scotty. Definitely like these next two, Rory and Bryson. It's just a matter of how much. I mean, right? They're going to be probably the two most popular guys on the slate. Kind of always talk about it. It's not who you play, how you play them. If you like these guys, don't fade them or go underweight because you're worried about ownership. Just play them in a different way. I mean, you always talk about that. I think it's probably the most, one of the most valid talking points when talking PGA DFS in general. Like, you can still play popular guys, but you got to be very cautious with how you play them. And again, that's where contest sims can help you out a little bit for sure. But in on them. Xander, I've just been playing. I mean, he hasn't fully gotten there yet. Like, if you've been, I think it's one of those situations I do always talk about. If you've been playing them, stick with it. I've been playing with them. I've been playing them, so I'll be sticking with it. Seems pretty close, maybe, hopefully. Morikawa is the one I don't love all that much. John Rahm, like I'm fine. Like, it seems like even like in these majors, like he's played like crap and then had like one or two good rounds to inflate the true results. So I'm not thrilled with him, but I'm gonna stop at JT. We'll go JT and above. I'm gonna just keep playing him, man. Like, I think he's taking his game to a whole nother level. It appears that he's been nice to the kids on the sidelines, inside or outside the ropes. It's helped his game. He should have listened to me back at the Rocket Mortgage 2 years ago. He wouldn't have gone through the slump that he went through, but he appears to be back and he's had success here. Love him.
Ever since he's been good to the kids. Second, a win and a second. Yeah. And even at the Masters, it wasn't a great finish, but he could have done even better. And he finished 36 there, so it wasn't great, but still win in a couple seconds. I think one thing you said there too. So, I just saw it pop up. Funny enough. So Ludwig, his grouping came out. It's Ludwig, Jordan Spieth, and Patrick Reed. What a group!
Oh gosh,
that's gonna be wild, man. So
that is. I would not want, man. I would definitely not want to play with Spieth. Like, he would be one of the top golfers I would not want to play with if I was on the PGA Tour.
You'd rather play with Reed?
I think so. I think I'd rather play with Reed over Spieth. But neither of them would be my preference, I guess.
Ludwig gets to play with both, so we'll see if maybe that can help boost him up and get him fired up. But I'm with you on most of that range, actually. I like Rahm might be the only one I'll take a shot on just because I'm always a Rahm guy, but it's more of that. But I'm with you, sticking with Xander. Definitely in on JT, who you talked about there. And then you'll get a mix of some of these other guys. The Scotty play, that's why I think the 19 could be correct by the time you get to the end of the week. I think enough people are going to play him, move to him, make sure they get a stand on him. They'll be more comfortable with more of the cheaper guys as the week goes on. Therefore, I think Scotty will be able to get back to respectable number, but it won't be anywhere near the Rory and the Bryson number. So that's where it gets a little bit tricky and makes you think a little bit. So definitely like that. Yeah, the cheater syndrome over there for Patrick Reed. I don't know if he's going to be doing any of that here this week, but we'll have to wait and see. 9K range, anything that stands out to you, like Hatton up to Hovland, I think is how we'll look at it.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. What do you think people do here?
I don't think there's going to be a lot of ownership here. Like, I like the Brooks in majors narrative, I think, is dead at this point. I think people are finally over that. We've heard enough of it. It hasn't panned out like people have thought. So I think like him and I can't imagine clicking Hovland's name at 9,800. I don't think I'd click him at 8,800. I don't know if I'd click him at 7,800, to be honest with you. 9,800 for Hovland, that's tough. People like playing Neiman at these majors because he, does so well on the Live Tour. Again, it really hasn't translated to any success in the majors. Cantlay typically doesn't play well at these big events. Hideki has not been playing well. Spieth, I've been playing him. I think I will have some Spieth this week. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a huge number. And again, you look at the ownership, it doesn't need to be a huge number to get overweight on the field. Tommy Fleetwood, people always love Fleetwood, and you can see in basically all ways that we kind of looked at these lineups, a lot of Fleetwood sneaking in. If he's going to get it's showing 23, if he's really 23, I can just find other guys in this area to play. I would play anyone over him if he's really going to be 23. I don't think it's going to be 23, but if it is, I'd be looking elsewhere. I guess by default, my favorite in this range is Spieth.
I like a couple. I like Hatton there too. I think he's the live guy I would take a shot on more.
I'm fine with that just because he's the cheapest. Honestly, if I'm going to play another guy, it would probably be him because he's 9K flat.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he tried to be in the mix of the Masters, but it's not. I don't know. No course is ever a Hatton course until it is. I get how it all works out, but he's at least somewhat interesting. Lowry, tired of being the bridesmaid, I think, for certain. Imagine being best friends with Rory. And like he said, like he gave the media shit last time where he's like, I don't want to come talk to you about Rory. He's like, I want to win my own tournament. And then he keeps coming second, and he just can't get it done unless Rory gets it done for him at the Zurich there last year, whatever it was, not this year just passed, but the year before. So he's definitely capable at 92. I'm playing the Spieth narrative. I don't really care. I think he's playing better. I mean, we talked about this. We've been on him. Last week wasn't the best finish, but before that, 4th, 12, 14, 18, 20, like he's definitely been back more than not. He can find his way around here. I think is fine. Cantlay, I'm definitely on the bottom range. Cantlay, Decky, Spieth, Lowry, Hatton. Like I'd rather play the bottom range than the top. Yeah. And I'm counting Justin Thomas up above. So really it's guys like Hovland, Koepka, Neiman that I'm not as high on right now. So sort of how I'm thinking about this range. Anything else you want to add there? If not, you can give some thoughts on that 8K range. I only see, maybe Henley, Connors, Sepp. Those guys stand out to like who a lot of people are looking at. But this is all the time for all kinds of golfers. Like Victor Hovland need to fix his everything until he wins the tournament. It's like he sucks. It's like anything can happen on any given week. So, it really depends what you want to do with your portfolio. But these are just some of the guys that I see standing out. We're thinking from a roster construction standpoint, not many are going to land in here, right, Hoop?
Yeah, agree. Ownership should be low here, and I'd say pretty good reason. I don't love much here. Like even Henley hasn't been playing well. I just don't know if this course really sets up well for him. But he has played. He's played good on courses that don't fit him well, so he could get it done. But I mean, you just can't play everyone. I don't know. I'll probably pass on him. And like, it's just hard to click some of these names like Days, Zalatoris, Wyndham Clark, Cam Smith. Like I could take a chance on Minwoo Lee. I think he has a tendency to pop up and kind of play well anywhere. I'll definitely be, I guess it's similar to the 9K range where I'm more interested in the lower portion of it. Connors, Sepp Straka. I mean, he's been good for quite a while now, Sepp. And I'm a little disappointed myself last week not being higher on him. I had some, not enough, but he's been solid. So like, yeah, Connors, Sepp, kind of where I'm looking in this range.
Patrick Reed, another live guy, would take a shot on. Good, always has played this course well in the past, and it's only live events, but solid outings. What did he do? Wasn't he like third at the Masters? I'm trying to see here.
Patrick Reed?
Yeah. Thought he played really well. Yeah, third at the Masters.
Yeah.
So not just that, the live results mixed in are okay as well. But I just think, he's at least somewhat interesting only because he's a pivot there to in between like Connors, Sungjae, and Straka is Patrick Reed. I don't think he's going to go overlooked completely. Are we getting any up there if you scroll up a little bit or no? No, sir. Oh, what about Justin Rose at majors? The guy just let down. Is he going to finally find something again? Is he? I mean, he was in the mix last one, but yeah. And this is a different track. I just can't see. I can't see it here. Maybe again, and anything can happen, but it's. I don't see it happening this week. And what's funny too is what we're seeing right now is it's. I guess Straka because he just won, but Connors 11th last week. Before that, it was 8th, 18th, 8th, 6th, 3rd, 8th, and 13th here. Sungjae's 8th and 4th here the last year is coming off a 23rd, a 5th of the Masters. I think those are the guys that stand out. They definitely stand out to most, but I'm just wondering because of roster construction, like we're only getting 15% of Connors and we're only showing currently 12 to 15 range on ownership. And I know a lot of people would say, well, there's no way. Look at his numbers on paper. He's average price. It's more about the roster construction. He just doesn't fit the builds, right? He doesn't seem to fit the builds at all. So I think there is a chance that when we saw that build earlier that you had with like a couple 8K guys, that could be the way to get a little bit different this week because they're already, they'll have double-digit ownership. It can be held in check huge versus some of the other types of builds, right? So Michael Byrne says Rose has finished top 15. Let me check the stats. Sure. Maybe 52nd. It says last time he played it, but he does have a third, a fifth. These are older results. Yeah. So it's not about that. I think he's fine. He could suit the course, like you said, but like him at different places usually. Berger at the top of the 7K range. Give me your thoughts on him, Hoop, and then take us down from there in the sevens.
Yeah, I've been playing them, and I like them. I definitely like them this week. Prefer them, compared to some of the guys around them. I mean, wasn't looking great last week, and then fired off a 66 in round 4. I guess all 4 rounds under 70. Yeah, I like Berger. Like I definitely like Berger. I've been playing him. He's been solid, and now he's at a price point where you don't need him to win. Like he gets in the top 20, you're thrilled. But yeah, you compare him to some of the other guys around him. I mean, definitely a strong preference to him. Like I can't, a lot of names I can't click. Fox, Thigala, Tom Kim. Don't mind McNeely. Sam Burns has had some decent results. Tony Finau, I'll take a chance on. He was pretty good last week, 7,400, longer course. I finished 15th. I'll take a chance on Finau at 74. Akshay, I've just kind of been playing. Keegan Bradley, Benny On, I think is fine. Cameron Young at 7,100 had what did he finish? 7th last week. Did he find something? I don't know, maybe. And then you got like Sergio down here. I don't really like him. So I don't know. Like I don't love anyone up here. I'd say my favorite is probably just going with someone like Akshay, right? I just think he can get hot. He's probably my favorite in this range. Outside of that, again, you go down and you start looking in that 6K range, and a lot of similar guys in terms of talent. So don't love the 7s, but neither does the field. So maybe there are some opportunities here.
Yeah, and this is always tricky. Like I don't really look at this stuff, especially on a course we have so much data for. I'm not even a course history guy, but I care way more about it when it's something like this. So if you're looking at PGA Championship results, I mean, you got to go way back to 2014 for Rory. So would you be off Rory this time at Quail Hollow? I mean, he won the PGA Championship in 2014. And since then, it's been 17th, miscut, 22nd, 50th, 8th, 33rd, 49th. Like, not like he has a great PGA Championship record. Are we moving off him? So you got to do one to do the other. And I love Jay Ray, but he's wrong. They literally played it here last year, and he got 52nd. That's Rose. So one JR is wrong about another JR in that scenario, but he has not finished top 15 every time he's played this course, starting with last year. So little notes like that, things that you can look up as you go along. I think it is interesting, like you said earlier, the 7K should go overlooked, but there is some options that you could see where people are going to take chances on it. But it might be, Hoop, like the Corey Connors, Sung Jae, Straka type stuff where the builds just don't get people there enough, because usually people like Bobby Mack and Majors, Keegan Bradley at just 7,200. I know we were getting a little bit of him on paper. Benny Ann, if people are going back to last year's tournament here, speaking of that, when Rory won it at Quail Hollow, it was Benny Ann sitting in 3rd place behind Rory and Xander. So maybe people feel something there. I don't know. Like I don't see too much in here that gets me that excited, but I think these builds would get you different. So if there's something that you can find here that you like, or if it ends up being 3 or 4 of these guys that you need, we've already seen it that not many builds are going to land here. There is ways to just go back to standard routes of like a Scotty lineup with 5 7Ks, or like a 6K, 3 7s, and wherever you land. So I think that's kind of the setup there. And yeah, that's another thing just to look at. So yeah, I don't see much else here. Anything else that you want to talk about in this one? Justin Rose is top 13 or better in his last 5 years in the PGA Championship, if that's the stat. But before that, 29th, 19th, 22nd, miscut, 24th, 33rd, like bunch of bad results. It's all the same.
Yep. 6K range. Let's see. Just kind of going through, man. Taylor Pendrith has been very hurtful lately. I always play him, and the results have not been great. I like guys down here like Novak at 66, Jaeger 65, JT Poston. Like I don't think this course necessarily fits him perfectly, but at 6,400, like it doesn't need to fit him perfectly, and he's been playing well, so I do like him. This Matthew McCarty guy I've been playing, and the results have been solid. Jake Knapp, interesting, and then Keith Mitchell is definitely a talking point. Like I don't think he gets to the 25 number that Saber's showing here, but he's going to be the most popular. There's no doubt about it. But there are pivots right around him, like Bug Cauley, I don't mind. Maybe Davis Riley, I don't mind. Bridgman, Nick Taylor, and then some above. I'm fine with Knapp, McCarty, Poston. So if Keith Mitchell, I'm going to play him in my 150, but it's like I'm not getting to like a 25% number on Keith Mitchell. There's just no way. A lot of pivots here. And if you're hand building and you are playing single entry, like this is a name I would not be clicking. I'd be looking to these guys right around him if you are in this range. So it's definitely something to monitor. Again, I don't think he gets to 25, but he is going to be the highest owned, whatever that number may end up being.
And in the higher dollar single entry stuff, you will see him get up to a bigger number than what you see in the lottery. And so that's where, like, even it's up to you if you want to click him because you still believe in the stats and the numbers and what he's done here lately and in the past. That's fine. It's just I'd be cognizant of the fact that people are going to be on Rory and Bryson or both with him, Rory or Bryson or both with him. When you could play like Xander, Justin Thomas with Keith Mitchell and then get different up the middle and still be at least a little bit different than some of those other builds or the majority that would land on. That's why I say it's not like, oh, he's a terrible play because he's 6,200 in chalk. Maybe, if it was him versus one other golfer, but you can build the whole lineup differently and the chalk could get there. And people are like, wow, I went 100% on Keith Mitchell because I thought it was the best value by far. But I had him in all my Scotty lineups and Scotty ended up sucking. It's like, or I had him with Scotty in all of them in my 20 max. I went all in on those two and Scotty sucked. Well, that's the issue, right? But you still needed Keith Mitchell. Just Scotty didn't work out. So that's the prime example. Talking about guys that played well lately and some of the stuff there, you mentioned a bunch, but just trying to look at some of the crossover down here to see if I see anything from past with current. Mitchell still does fit that build that you talked about there. I like Jaeger. I always do, but his numbers are pretty good. How much was Harris English, by the way? Was he just above?
He was up there, 68.
So Harris English is solid, 11th, 12th, and 18th in 3 of his last 4, a 3rd and 34th here the last couple of years. JJ Spawn pops a little bit. Denny McCarthy, a 6th year last year and an 8th before, and he's coming in off of a 46, which is not ideal, but before that, he had a run of like 18th, 14th, 18th, 29th. He can make some putts. Novak was another guy. I think we already looked in his range. So yeah, I mean, there's some guys here just at the top alone. And then going down from there, I think like Woodland people are interested in a little bit. I don't know if these guys will get a ton of ownership, but like Ben Griffin, Woodland, who else is down here? Sam Stevens, who we talked about earlier.
What's the price on Griffin? I'm not seeing him here.
I think it's cheap, man. I saw him pop into some lineups earlier. He's 5,700.
Oh, 57. So he's down even. Oh, wow. Yeah, he'll get some ownership for sure.
Yeah, I'm into the 5K range already with some of these guys. Mackenzie Hughes is like the Keith Mitchell situation again, right? He got a 6th here last year. He's coming in off a 2nd. It was an alt event, so be it. But then he had a 3rd at, I forget what event that was. It was the 1JT1. The RBC Heritage.
Yeah. There are, again, he's not going to get to this number. It's showing 27. He's going to be the most popular, and I'm fine playing him, but there are names right here that you can go to if you don't want to play him. Max Grazerman, I think, is a fine option. You got Patrick Rogers, Chris Kirk, Eric Cole, Ben Griffin, Taylor Moore. There are names here. Kevin Yu I like. So there's a lot of different options if this number is looking to hold true. And I don't think he's going to be 27% owned. But if you want to avoid a popular play down there, you have options.
Yeah, there's actually a bunch of options. That's the thing. Like that's the one where you can just click whatever. But obviously on paper looks pretty good. His projection is going to be through the roof. But there's a lot of guys down here. Norgard. People at these majors, people play like Norgard, Laurie Cantor, guys like that. And again, not to a high ownership number. I'm just saying these are the alternatives around there. And typically I'm looking for who people would be willing to play, but not commit to, because that can oftentimes be a really good spot to go and get different, because you're like, look, I know people like them for a reason. I'm scared to commit to them, or I'm scared to put the money in on them. But for Mackenzie Hughes' recent play, there's still 3 missed cuts on a 36 mixed in with the 10th, 3rd, and the 2nd. And even at this course, he did finish 6th last year at the Wells Fargo at this course. Before that, 5 missed cuts on a 59. So, which is it? Like that? That's what I'm saying. So if he's going to be extremely popular, there's a ton of different options that you could go to down in this range and make that move and just hope to get lucky versus, play the guy that everybody's on. They all have the opportunity. So anybody else in the 5K range you want to talk about?
Man, I'm open to playing more of these guys for sure. I mean, once you come way down, it's a bunch of dudes that you definitely don't want to play, and a lot of guys that are just immediate X outs. But even like Joe Highsmith, like if I got a little bit of Joe Highsmith, I wouldn't be mad. Max McGreevy, and then I talked about some of these other dudes towards the top. Definitely not playing Michael Block though. That's that's a no. But a lot of dudes I'm open to. Even where's our guy Rin? Even EVR, I'd play him at 57. So I'm open to it.
Block without lock.
Yeah, that's true. That is a good point.
Man. Let's go. Norgard is who is popping in our projections right now, right? Or Saber Sims projections that we have up.
Yeah, we are getting 25% of him, and that's in the Saber score version. So
okay,
just because of the high projection, like 41.5.
I can't find him. Yeah, that's interesting. So I don't know.
5,400.
We clearly see value to this range. It's putting it together and then finding the guys that you like, but then commit to them, I would say, because you want to have them into your builds. But there's definitely a lot of guys down here that you don't just have to settle on Matt Hughes if you don't want to. So I think there's a ton of different ways that you could go. How much is Olesen?
I think he was towards the top.
What's his ownership at?
Showing 5%. We got 11% in the Saber build.
He's got a 7th, a 29th, a 5th, and 3 of his last 4. I mean, he looks pretty solid. You mentioned Matt McCarty, people like Hoagie, Poston, Bud Colley. There is a lot of guys here actually that you can click on. So another one earlier too I forgot to mention was Ricky Fowler. In the past, it's further back now. I had good history here. Coming off of 15th last week, he looked okay till he didn't. And same with Cam Young last week. He ended up finishing 7th place. I don't know if these guys.
Cam Young was on the optimal team last week.
They're just sitting there at 7,100. And I just don't think enough people are going to get to this spot in this range. And even if they did, I think they're going to take Benny Ann, who came 3rd here. But Benny Ann's like Hughes. 3rd here last year. Nothing real crazy going on recently. A 21st, 38th, 60th, 34th. Nothing to write home about. Oh, but he finished 3rd here last year. How'd he do here before that? Miscut, WD, 63, miscut. Like, it's not like it's
Keegan's another name at 72. People might click. Yeah, we're showing 8%.
I think they will too. Yeah, at least he's got some history here. 3 of the last 4 years, pretty solid, coming off an 1830th. I get that. Bobby Mack is usually he'd be interesting to me because he's a boom bust guy. 11th, 9th, then a miscut, 66th, and a 34th. Like, give me the top 10 and he's great. If not, though, those lineups just go in the tank, right? They're just no good. But at least he's got that upside there if he does show up and come through. So I think there's some alternatives to go to there. The rest is pretty tricky. I don't have much else to talk about here, Hoop. Anything else you wanted to mention before we get out of here?
No, we are going to do the splash segment real quick because we've got a new format for that, a new pricing tier that we're going to talk about. Let's see. Splash.
Yeah, and while you're bringing it up, just so people know, this is definitely what we were talking about last week. Like, the more we continue to grow this stuff, the more that they're going to keep building it up. And this is already up 5,000 guaranteed. It was 5K last week. Now it's up to 10K. And we're thinking long-term, right? When you think about the other sports, you think about the bigger picture, some of the pools, the different things, the one and dones, all this stuff that we can do. It's $100 buy-in. Click into it, Hoop, so we can see the payout structure there. 2,000, 1,500, 1,200, 800, 500, 300, 300. Like, it's a very solid payout structure, only playing against 112 total teams. So for $100, this is a good way to spend it and be able to find some action that way. Some would rather throw 4 in the $25 Millie Maker, and I get it, but I think 10th place is 2,000. It feels like in that, if you crush 100,000 plus people, you might not get that kind of cash. This is a nice way to do it. Easy scoring, drop a golfer, bring it up, Hoop, and we can look at it just to see.
Yeah, even the top 25, you get your money back. Like, so you finish in the top 25%, top quarter, you're getting your money back. You look at some of the other contests around the industry, you finish top 25%, you're losing a substantial amount of money. So that's just one thing to note. Let's pull it up, see what it looks like for this week. I don't want to save it. Sorry, make picks. All right, so there's 8 tiers. First tier, got obviously all the big dogs. Majority of the ownership here is going to Scotty, Rory, and probably Bryson. If you do anything outside of that, I would say you're probably pretty different, right? I mean, even like JT, I like JT. Probably different because you got Scotty, you got Rory, and you got Bryson here.
Yeah, most are going to go to Rory, Bryson, if not Scotty. And I think that's one thing I started doing. Like, if you look through it, Hoop, you can always go change it after you make it. The point is, it's like a lineup on DraftKings. You can change it after. But what I like to do is once I select one, I can start looking at the tiers as I'm going through. And when I realize, wow, there's 3 tiers that I'm completely off the wall in, I might go back and say, you know what? I'm just going to take Rory. I like him. He's playing the best. He's crushing scores. I'll eat Rory's chalk in tier 1 because I'm already super unique in these other tiers. If you're on a JT instead of those other big three at the first. And amongst others, people still are going to take Xander and Kawa and certain things. You can then say, okay, in tier 2, if I really don't like anybody else, I don't need to go off the board. I can pick up somebody else there. So what's tier 2 got?
Yeah, tier 2. I don't think anyone's going to be overly popular or common. Probably get spread out a little bit, and we both kind of like Spieth a little bit. I think Spieth is an interesting pick here. So for sake of the show, I think we go Spieth. Tier 3, it's obviously gets a little more difficult each tier that you kind of go through. The talent drops off, but I mean, where we're going for sure, right?
Sure. The talent didn't drop off on the third guy there. You got a solid talent in Sung Jae Im, so let's
load him. Gotta go Sung Jae. All right, tier 4. It's always interesting where random names kind of get in here. Like Dean Burmeister is here.
I think a lot of people will just click Keegan here, to be honest, but this is where, we're pretty different. You could do whatever you wanted, but like if you want a Benny or a Finau, I like Benny.
Let's go Benny. Go Benny. We haven't hit, by the way. I've played these picks every single week, and we have not been quick. So we have not been very good. So that's good for people that are entering the contest. You got one dead team in here to start.
Now this will be a good one. You got Sung Jae in it.
Yeah, true.
All right. So what do we got with this one? Keith Mitchell will be popular here.
Yeah.
You could go Rye or Denny. I kind of like Rye, Denny, Spawn, any of those three.
Let's go. Oh, man, I wish I could click my boy Pendrith, but he just stinks. We'll go Rye. He grinds. Tier 6. No.
Wow, this is a tough one. No, this will be spread out for sure. I don't think many people
It's definitely going to be spread out. I like either your boy Jaeger or Novak. One of those two. Who do you want?
Let's go Jaeger. We'll stick with this team because we already got Sung Jae and others in there. Might as well keep it rolling.
Hogard, Cauley, you talked about English. Let's go English.
Let's go English.
We'll go English. Boom. And then everyone else in the field. So Cam Young's in here. My guy Poston's in here. You said Olesen. Maybe we go Olesen.
Let's go Olesen because we get to drop a golfer anyway.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. All right. So here's what we got. We got JT, Spieth, M, Benny on, Rye, Jaeger, English, Olesen. Save, and we're in. Simple, easy to do. Gives you, different sort of contests throughout the week. Even if you're playing on DraftKings or FanDuel, you can come here. Easy to put a team in, and it's a little bit different format.
And if you really think like, wow, I'm kind of off the board when I look at that, you can go change JT to Rory then if you want. Like you got 7 other spots and you get to drop somebody. But if you think you're different enough, so only 62 spots left in that. Check that out. It's over on Splash Sports. You can go to splashsports.com/SHIPIT. Get right in that way. It's easy to sign up and get into that. If you want to check out ShipItNation.com, we talked about it. The anniversary is coming up. Our 2-year anniversary will be on May 15th. You guys can go to ShipItNation.com. Go under Join the Nation, use code SHIPIT2, and that'll get you your first month for just $24. All access, all the sports, including SaberSim. It's the $99 plan. You have to go in to the $99 plan, use the code SHIPIT2. It'll take your first month down to $24, and you'll be in. If a secondary way to get it for free is if you're already a member paying for content somewhere else, one of our competitors paying $49 a month or more, send over to info@shipitnation.com with a screenshot of that, and we'll get you set up with a free month just to check us out, just to see what we're doing differently, and maybe we can become your one-stop shop. Our goal, as always, is the most affordable and most valuable DFS content in the space. We want people to be checking us out. We have high faith in what we're doing. We appreciate all the support along the way. Hoop, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, sir. We'd love to have you. Obviously, it's a good opportunity to get in, give us a try. And as I said in the open, let us prove to you that we can be your home for DFS content. We're very confident that is the case. So we'd love to have you on board, have you in the Discord chatting it up with our community. Yeah, great week to start. Second major of the season. It's going to be a good one. Good luck out there with all your lineups. For Hoop, for myself, ToeTagginTambo, let's ship it.